welcome to another episode of Jenny's Chateau farm. Since it's been so hot lately, I thought the best thing to show you would be the cave or the basement, because frankly it's always nice and cool in there. When I first saw this house, these magnificent vaulted arches underneath the veranda were one of the first things that attracted me to this house, because it's quite unusual to see a cave on a house like this, of this size. Since the house is built on a slope, we only have these caves visible from the east side, and I cannot imagine how much work it must have been to dig out this much earth in this stony ground when the house was constructed, at a time when mechanical diggers were not yet invented. So let's go in and have a look. So here in the central hallway of the cave, we can see the full height of it, which is about 2.5 meters high, and it runs east-west along the width of the house, with 4 rooms coming off, 1 in each corner. And just here on the wall, you can see some graffiti left behind by the people who built this house. It says 1851, although the 1 is a bit vague, it's come off a bit. And we have similar graffiti in our attic, which we will get to at a later tour. And that is the date that this house was completed. We've only just begun with our wine collection, and we've had friends and family lately, so it's somewhat depleted. But it's going to take us a while in any case to fill a cave such as this. In this room, we quite often find a family of bats hanging from the ceiling. And personally, I really love the bats. They come out at night, they fly around the courtyard, and they eat all the mosquitoes. What's not to love? One thing I love about this cave is that on the east side it opens out onto the garden, so you can have all this natural daylight coming in if you wish. We could even create a gym in this room. We haven't really decided what to do with all these rooms in the basement, but a home gym would be an excellent idea because it's always nice and cool down here, and yet you have the fresh air and the view out onto the garden. Now, each of these rooms has at least 1, if not 2, ventilation shafts that goes up to the garden. So this allows the cave to never get too damp and keeps an excellent flow of air throughout the basement. The other thing I love about this basement is that it's never been concreted. So there's just something about walking around barefoot in the house that makes you feel like you're walking around barefoot outdoors, because there's nothing below your feet but the earth and the soil and the stone. So we've not quite decided what to do with this room either. Possibly a storage room. We could put condiments and freezers down here perhaps. We need extra storage, and clearly it's been used for storage before. Here we have some old mirrors still lying down here, which could be framed and put into service above a fireplace, because we are lacking fireplace mirrors. So there's 2 big mirrors there, and I hadn't noticed this before, but this one is already framed. Oh wow, this one has a picture above it, but it's got snails living on it. This poor mirror and painting is in a very sorry state. I had no idea this was down here, otherwise I would have rescued it earlier. I've honestly not explored this with this much daylight. And this would have been a mirror with a painting above a fireplace, and that's exactly what we're missing in the house. And this looks like it would have been a painting of a tree here, but it's so badly damaged by damp and snails and other bugs that I really have no idea if it's recoverable. But I can see it looks like a painting of a bridge. I can see vaulted arches here, and some trees over here. And there's a man standing here working with a dog, and looks like some kind of scaffolding, like perhaps they're building this bridge here. So a fascinating discovery. I had no idea this was here. So now we're in the northwest corner of the house, and it's the most dug down area. So we're completely surrounded by earth on the other sides, but we do have these two large air vents leading up to the garden. So it keeps the whole basement really well ventilated. The other thing I noticed about this room is there's quite a lot of this black mold on the stone, and you tend to see that in rooms that have been used for storing cognac vats. So I suspect that that's what it has been used for in the past. Under the stairs here we have an old cistern that's no longer in use, so at some point that can be removed. And from here we can walk all the way up the stairs to the ground floor. Escaping to the Cave is one way to cool down in the heat. Another is to travel over 2,000 kilometres north to my husband's native country of Sweden, and that's just what we did last week, to go and visit our friends and family. So this week we have in fact driven over 2,000 kilometers north to rural Sweden. This is because my husband is Swedish, so we've come to visit the in-laws. And also some good friends of ours were getting married in the village. Now, we were hoping to fly here from France. However, this summer there has been such chaos with the airports, the airplanes and the trains that it was looking very nearly impossible or extremely difficult to get here by plane, which is why we ended up taking the car. So it was somewhat of an epic trip. It was 48 hours door to door, with a sleepover on the ferry from Germany to Sweden and a brief stop at a motel on the Belgian-Germany border. So suffice to say, we're very glad to have gotten here safe and sound. So far, touch wood, the car is still working just fine. Yet we still have the return journey to go. So we'll let you know how that goes. But in the meantime, we are thoroughly enjoying our time here with friends and family and chickens, and we're just enjoying relaxing a little bit in the beautiful Swedish countryside. One thing that I did want to share with you from Sweden is our local store. It's in the village and it's open 24 hours, and it's literally just to open the side door on the barn and help yourself to whatever produce is still left that day. It works through an honesty box, or you can pay online. We're using Swish, which is a Swedish app for paying money between people using your mobile phone. So it's an inspiration to me because I would love to be able to do something like this in France, but that is somewhat a few years down the line before I'm in a position to do the same thing there. So the way it works is you pick whichever vegetables you like. She's got it all written down in Swedish with the prices. Nero, kale, mangold or Swiss chard, this one is. And she has carrots, really, really tasty sweet carrots. And she has 3 different kinds of beetroot, some onions and more carrots and garlic. And all you do is you look at the price list that she's written out here and you pick what you want, and she leaves a little book or some post-it notes on the counter here, and you just write out what it is that you've bought, how much you can weigh it on the scales if you want, and then you leave the money in the little honesty box. So if you want to pay cash, you can leave the money in the box, or here in Sweden they have a payment that is pretty universal, everybody has, via their mobile phone number,
And so you can just pay with Swish, is what it's called. It's an app on your phone, and you can pay her with Swish and just write it down in the box. So anyone can come day or night and just help themselves.
Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing, liking and leaving a comment, because it really helps our channel grow.